Hey everyone, it's Mr. Southern coming at you with a video about our little mini project on the Photo Liker app. So today you're going to go over to Unit 4, which we're talking about. We started talking about variables, and we're going to scroll all the way down to Lesson 4, and we're going to get going on the Lesson 4 variables make, which is the Photo Liker app. So the first thing we're going to do in this, and the rubric is all in Schoology as well in terms of what you need to do, is I want you to just think for just a minute on what is it that we want to do with this code or with this app, I should say. You can discuss it with a partner or just think about yourself. First thing you should do is you should run this, and then we should be paying attention to, hey, what is the app actually trying to do? Like, what's this end game? And then what are the inputs? Could be clicks, could be typing, right? Things like that. And what are the outputs, which is typically the display. So once we kind of take a look at this, let's go ahead and run this thing. So I see a little kitty cat picture, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it a thumbs up because they're so cute. And it looks like every time I give it a thumbs up, it tells me how many likes I have. So once again, I hear some sound too, but once again, we have some sort of counter happening, right? So that's nothing new. What if I hit the dislike button? It looks like I'm taking one away from my likes for every dislike. Okay. So if you need a little bit of inspiration on what the code looks like, I would recommend you go back. I think it was lesson 2 or 3 where we did the thermostat app. And that's a great way to look at the counter, how it was made there. So it's totally okay to go back in time and be like, oh, we did this before. What was that code? Okay, so I kind of have this like on event in my head where I'm clicking thumbs up, I add one to likes. If I click thumbs down, then we take away from likes. Okay, for oh my God, so cute. Looks like we have some sort of comment box here. So, if I said, hey there, right? And if I hit enter, nothing happens. But if I click this little speech bubble, it gets in there, right? And so it keeps adding. So that's kind of cool. I don't really see anything else happening here. So I'm going to go ahead and pay attention to the fact that my inputs are thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay, I see what's happening if I do thumbs up versus thumbs down, adding one versus subtracting one from the likes counter. If I type something in the box, there's another input, and I hit the speech bubble, it'll add it to the list of comments. And I don't see anything else going on, so that's that. Okay, so let me go ahead and move on. And now comes the fun part. So I just want to go over some of the things that you'll have to work on. Let me go to show blocks. Okay, so I'm not so worried about kind of everything here, but the first thing I'm thinking of is where are my outputs? Because that's where your variables are going to come into play. Okay, so my outputs are going to be the number of likes and then this little text box, right? Those are my outputs. So in other words, when I have my inputs of a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever that resulting action is needs to be stored in a variable. Okay. And then the other thing is same thing with the comments. That whenever I type in a new comment, that needs to be stored somewhere. I'm going to add to it. So again, we've done this before in lesson 2 and lesson 3. So it's nothing new. In case you've forgotten, you can go back to those lessons and see what the code was. So first thing I'm going to do to get started is I'm going to get rid of this just so I can kind of zoom in a little bit better on what it is we're trying to do because I know you're watching on YouTube here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to variables because the first thing we always want to do, almost always want to do, is we want to declare our variables. We want to create them. And we want to assign values to your variables. So there's two things to think about. One is I'm going to have a variable for the what do we call that? The light counter. So I'm just going to call it counter. Okay. And the other one is going to be for the comments, right? So I need to store comments somewhere. So I'm going to make those two variables. We have now successfully created them. These yellow triangles are going to come up because it says, hey, there's no counter defined. So what am I supposed to do here? Okay, so then we can add our event handlers. So again, let's start with the thumbs up, thumbs down. If I click the thumbs up or thumbs down button, I need something to happen. So when I go to UI controls, that's a very easy on event that's going to happen here. For the ID, let's just worry about the up button. So when I get to the up button and I click it, I want it to do something. And specifically what I want it to do is I want to add one to the counter every time that happens, right? And I'm going to go ahead and create the other on event because the flip side of that is, well, what if I hit the down button? Right? So if I hit the down button, I want it to take one away from my counter. Okay, so we've kind of have this figured out. The first thing I need to do is think about, well, how am I going to deal with a counter? Because a counter is a number. And as you can see from the screen here, we're going to start counting from the number 0. Okay. So to do that, I noticed that I've created var counter, but I have nothing going on with it. So what we can do actually at the variables level is we can go ahead and declare a variable and also assign it a value. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this var counter and switch it out with var counter. I'm going to set it equal to 0. And what that does right there, let me go ahead and get a comment in just so you're aware of it, is it's going to set the counter variable to 0 initially. All right, so we're going to have a start value of 0 because now when I get to the up button, guess what I can do? I can just take variable and do this x equals, okay? And oops, sorry, in the on event, my bad. Because every time we click on the up button, we're going to do counter equals, and we want to add 1 to it. The common mistake people make is they just put a +1 there. And that's not going to work because in coding, the equal sign is an assignment operator. In other words, anything that comes to the right of that equal sign is going to get thrown into that variable. So when you do this +1, if I click away, it won't give me an error yet, but it'll cause problems later, or it won't count correctly. So to combat that, what we're going to do is I'm going to go to math, and I'm going to do this little assignment or add operator, dump it in there, and we're going to do counter equals counter +1. So every time I click the up button, we're going to add 1 to the counter. Also, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and show the debug elements here, and we can add any variables like counter. I'm going to copy and paste that here to the watcher. Now I can go ahead and debug, or not debug, but just see if this watcher is working or not. I'm going to hit run. So we have this thing going. Okay, it's reading all the code. Let's go and hit the up button and see what happens. Okay, so I'm seeing that the counter is going up, so the variable is doing what's intended. But you'll notice that the number of likes is not increasing, and that's okay. What the main thing is, I want to make sure that variable works. Okay, and for the counter, you guys have done this in the app when we made the apps before, but that would just be a set text, right? So if you want to do this on event up button, we can also set text, and that's called the like counter output, right? Like counter output, I think that's what that is. And then we want it to display not text. Let's delete all that. And we want to actually display counter. So let's go ahead and try that. So I'm going to run. Let's go ahead and hit the up button. And you notice that the number just goes up. But gosh darn it, I didn't have the word likes in there, right? So what are we going to do? Well, I can go to set text here. And right before counter, I can go ahead and do likes, quotation mark, and then we can do a plus sign, which is a concatenation. And that's going to go ahead and create something like that. Let's try it and see if it works. And there you go. So that's for the up button. Okay, so I've coded that for you essentially. You have it. We're going to do the same thing for the down button here, except we're going to take away 1 from the counter and do the set text. So all that's the same. Okay, and then I want you to try a little bit, and then when I come back to class, we'll go over the new comment part if you're having trouble with that. So good luck, and I'll talk to you soon.